Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows, back-to-back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land.
We all run a busy schedule, and maybe we don't have time to catch the Gary Russen program. Well, here's the solution. The best of the Gary Russen program, highlighting the most memorable parts of recent shows. Each podcast I will play clips of previous shows and talk about them. Watch for podcast uploads during the GJRB's podcast weekend on GJRB's public site on Spreaker. Reflecting on the past memories of past shows. The best of the Gary Russen program on GJRB.
Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I did the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The weird, the strange, the bizarre. Way out fun, way out there. Another show coming soon on GJRB Online.
This is Michael J. Martin, and you're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online.
Give you what stories that I have here, but I also have late breaking news throughout the show on our scroll through social media, which is coming up, and I leave it open basically. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do scroll through social media at the top of the hour. When we do the new hour, we're going to start our news. We're going to have scroll through social media. And I'll pick some stories. I'll start with the lead story today, which is about Steve Bannon resigning, but we know he got fired. He just chose to resign. And I kind of wonder what the reason is behind that. I really do, because there really wasn't a reason mentioned there. You know, why was this guy all of a sudden resigning? I mean, there's no reason mentioned. All I said that he's resigning. So what's up with that? You have to wonder. Kind of bizarre, because why would he all of a sudden resign for no reason other than, oh boy, he could have been fired, which it was mentioned that he was fired by Donald Trump, but he chose to resign. So what's the reason there behind that? What was the reasoning behind that? You have to wonder. Okay, you really do. It's kind of interesting. So we'll talk about that coming up. Also, in our scroll through social media, we'll have some other news going on, and we're going to talk to you while we're on the air live. And of course, like I said before, things start rolling right now as we do our Freestyle Friday edition. We haven't done this show in a while. We've been well overdue to do a freestyle show on a Friday because haven't done one, I'd say, since spring. Might have been, I can't tell you the last time we did a Freestyle Friday show. It might have been sometime early spring, I think. Don't quote me on it, I have no idea. But it was sometime in early spring, I know that, when we did a Freestyle Friday show. So I'm sorry about that. Never got back into it. The schedule changed. We went into that sporadic program schedule, and things kind of changed. It might be changing again. I'll talk about that later on down the line. Later on, but it might be really, really where we're going to really be sporadic. Because I'm finding out still that I don't have enough time to load up. What I'm going to do, start what I call I might even change the name of it. Sporadic schedule sounds good, but I like this one, and I'm going to try it on for size. Lock and load radio schedule. That means that I load her up and fire the radio cannon. I don't have an explosion, unfortunately, on here. Darn it. But I could do something like that. I'll fight a cannon. But we'll do this later on. I think I got a new idea. A sporadic schedule for a little while, but that name's going to be changed. We're going to call it something else. And it's going to be called the Lock and Load Radio Schedule. We're going to be off the air for a little while, then be on the air for a long while with programs. Then go down and then come back up. We'll still use the sporadic schedule, but we're going to kind of shift things around a little bit, get shows ready for the schedule, follow the schedule verbatim a little bit, and then we kind of go off into a beaten track and go on the air. Now, another thing I want to talk about coming up next hour is a spin-off to this program. Yeah, I'm playing a spin-off to the Gary Russen program. Now, we already have one called The Best of the Gary Russen program, so I'd say this is the third spin-off. Second one is The Best of the Gary Russen program, where I played tracks from past shows. We haven't done that for a while. I haven't done a best of show, I think, since early summer. So I'm planning on bringing that back and regularly as I go through some of the past Gary Russen programs and pick some of the segments of the show and start loading up some more clips from past shows. So I haven't done it for a while. So we'll be doing another clip show here real soon. And that's a podcast which I run on the weekends. So I will probably try to do a podcast average about every other weekend. Because this program is not on enough to really do it regularly every week. So it's like alternating weekends. And we'll be on the same weekend. The podcast will be uploaded the same weekend we do Sports Page. So that we have an idea, so that would mark it. That weekend we do Sports Page would be the same weekend that we would do a Best of Gary Russen program. But another show we're adding on is whenever there's a long haul between Gary Russen programs and we are off the air for a while, and there's things going on like there is now, what I have is what I call the Gary Russen program extra. And I'll be talking about that next hour. So stay with me. Gary Russen program on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. I'm glad you could be with me today. And we're kind of going through and picking some cities and towns under the storm warnings that are going on, and the storms that are going on in the line on the eastern half of the United States. And as I mentioned earlier, Minnesota just had a pretty good tornado yesterday, and they got some storms going on, starting to fire up in the north, in the northeast. And we're going to talk about that coming up here in just a little bit here on the Gary Russen program as we get into weather on the 5. And let's take a look at some of the temperatures across America right now. 75 degrees in Boston, Massachusetts. 93 degrees in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Galveston, Texas at 92. 90 degrees in Miami, Florida. 102. It's hot in Phoenix. Phoenix, Arizona, 102 degrees. 92 degrees in Albuquerque, New Mexico. 80 degrees in Los Angeles, California. And in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I just mentioned it. Oh, yeah, LA, 80. So that's some of the areas. And I'm going to be doing Baltimore next half hour. Baltimore coming up about 25 or so after 3. But let's take a look at Boston, Massachusetts real quick. And you guys in Boston, I think you're underneath that storm that's coming your way. Boston, Massachusetts right now reporting in light rain. And I'm looking at your radar right now, clear all the way through from Andover and Lovell, clear down to Randolph. That area in and around there, including Boston, you guys are under some really lot of heavy rain. A lot of heavy rain. It winds out of south-southwest at 19 miles per hour, and your relative humidity is 81%. Dew point is at 29.84 inches and dropping. You have more chance of thunderstorms tonight with a low of 71 degrees. And we'll take a look at the rest of your weather coming up later here on the Gary Russen program.
America's street music is back on GJR Bluegrass with the Grass Goals, Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys, and so much more. So it's time to bring it back, and on more often. It's Bluegrass Jubilee Freestyle, with all the great songs you heard before, and some new up-and-coming stars with some emerging bluegrass. Also, some all-time gospel favorites too. At a brand new time, every third Saturday at 12 noon Central on GJRB. Strange things in the sky and around the world. Strange beings sighted. What's going on? All around us, conspiracy theories are being discussed. This is the show all about the strange things that are way out there. I'm Gary Russen. This Way Out There's back with more weird stories of the strange and the bizarre. Keep looking up in the sky and let me know what you see. Way out there. Every third Friday at 2 o'clock Central on GJRB. We all run a busy schedule, and maybe we don't have time to catch the Gary Russen program. Well, here's the solution. The best of the Gary Russen program, highlighting the most memorable parts of recent shows. Each podcast I will play clips of previous shows and talk about them. Watch for podcast uploads during the GJRB's podcast weekend on GJRB's public site on Spreaker. Reflecting on the past memories of past shows. The best of the Gary Russen program on GJRB.
End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB.
And you're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB online on Spreaker across America and around the world. Glad you could join me today. We got a great show coming up, more stuff on the way. Stay with me. We got a lot of really good things going on, and we're headed into the 3 o'clock hour, and we're going to have a brief look at some news, and then we'll be getting back into the program right now. It is now 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock East, 1 o'clock Pacific. And I'm Gary J. Russen. You're listening to GJRB online, on Spreaker, on the internet.
From America's heartland, this is GJRB, Clinton, Iowa.
I'm Gary J. Russen. Steve Bannon is out of the White House. On Tuesday, Donald Trump told reporters at Trump Tower that Bannon was a good man but not a racist. But yet, he was fired, apparently. Bannon is a former executive chairman of Breitbart News and the latest high-profile aide to leave the White House. On July 21st, the press secretary Sean Spicer resigned, followed by Chief of Staff Reese Brabus, and then White House communicator and director Anthony Scaramucci, also fired after just 11 days in the role. Bannon put his resignation in 2 weeks ago, was effective this past Monday, August 14th. But story is, I heard he was actually fired. He chose to resign. So more on this story throughout the afternoon. Also, a reminder that this is the Gary Russen program, and that means that we're doing Freestyle Friday today, and we are dropping off the regular news format for this program, which we do regularly on our weekday programs. But on Friday, we drop that format and bring you news as it happens live here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker. So right now we're going to do that. We're going to we're going to start our news this hour off of the Gary Russen program, and we're going to do a scroll through social media. Yeah.
Now, let's scroll through social media.
Starting with Facebook, and that's where we get a lot of our news headlines. So we're kind of searching for news in this first part of the hour of the Gary Russen program. So that means if you are on Facebook right now, you could be part of the program and, of course, participate in our matter of opinion, which is, do you think that the monuments in the South should be taken down? Do you think that solves the problem? Okay? Do you think that solves the problem? Okay, we're going to talk about that, and what do you think about it? So we're going to do that this hour. Meanwhile, going to be going into the social media and see what people are talking about, and what the conversation is definitely about this afternoon here on the Gary Russen program, here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker. And let's see here. So we're going to do that here. And then coming up in this hour, we're going to bring that story about the what I was just mentioning earlier. George Soros. We're going to talk about George Soros coming up. So stay with me for that this half hour. And also we're going to leave it to you to continue the conversation, and we're going to see who's out there listening today here on the Gary Russen program, here on GJRB Online. We're going to be checking my social site. I'm going to be checking the Spreaker public site to see if I have any listeners. I haven't done that yet, so we're going to be doing that. But meanwhile, let's take a look at that news and see what's going on across America right now here on GJRB Online. We're going to continue scrolling through social media. And so far, it looks like dead news. Not much going on here. I'm going to kind of fly down the page a little bit. Sometimes sometimes we have slow news, and then sometimes we start getting we get bombarded with stories then. So we're kind of throwing this in. Let's see here. I'm gonna go further down the page. I gotta play that one later. Let's see. Go down a ways here. Let's see. Okay. I'm not seeing too much. stories here. Okay, that's a local story. Okay, but I want to go further here. Let me see. Got some interesting ones here. Oh, I like these record player ones. I like that site. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Not finding much in news. Not finding much in news at this point. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I think this was earlier. I saw this posting before airtime. Coming from 3TV CBS's 5 Live. I don't know if this was yesterday. I don't know if this comes from Jason Hand. Total of 4 people face charges in connection with toppling over the Confederate statue in front of the old Durham County Courthouse. And there is something going on here with this. I don't know. This must have been recorded earlier. It runs about 8 minutes and 35 seconds. It's from HCN in Durham. Here's what's going on here.
We're in we know that 4 people have already been charged. The main reason you're getting this out here this morning is
I'm here because I wanted that statue taken down long before it was. I'm here because it was time and there's a mandate from our community that white supremacist racist statue had to go. We will no longer allow for hate to tower over us as we walk down Main Street on our town.
So you see,
we're here to turn ourselves in, to take responsibility for the removal of that Confederate statue from Main Street.
so this group is actually turning themselves in. These are the group that brought down the Confederate statue and the old Durham County Courthouse. They turned themselves in. So they did the right thing, folks. They turned themselves in. One of them was, I believe, already arrested.
Okay, that's it, right?
Basically, that's a video of them turning themselves in. They are getting arrested. Yeah, see, they're already getting arrested. This is a good thing. See, they wanted that down, and they admitted they wanted that down. So they are getting arrested, and they turned themselves in. So I think this was, I don't know, today? I'm not sure, today or yesterday? This posted was 6 hours ago, so I don't know, sometime probably today. Probably about 9 this morning. They turned themselves in today. So they're doing a big thing here now. They're interviewing somebody here. Hang on a second.
Are you ready to take whatever consequences you make on it?
Absolutely.
Realizing, of course, that they have blown their future over a statue. Isn't this just amazing? Just amazing. They blow their future over a statue. I mean, come on.
An ancestor of mine that was a Grand Dragon fan. It's very important to see this mine.
So they're being interviewed by their local channel there, Channel 3 and Channel 5.
What was your role Monday in bringing down that statue?
Regarding the...
you were there, part of the
they're just turning themselves in, actually. Because they, like I said, they did not want the representation of racism. So they decided to turn themselves in here. That's all they, so that's pretty much what that is about. So there you go. They're doing the right thing. They're doing the big thing in turning themselves in. So I was kind of angry at him for knocking that down. I've been angry at him and hoping that maybe perhaps they would be smart enough, and they are smart enough kids, to admit that they did the wrong thing, that they shouldn't have torn it down, take matters in their own hands, and knock down this statue. And like I said before, I think that it is that when I look at it this way, maybe to make it safer for the... Now, I can say I'm going to be watching Gettysburg, because they said they protected their monuments there, but they could say that, but they could have riots. They could end up having riots there. Look, there's already plans in place to do some getting rid of some of the other monuments. What about Mount Rushmore? Ooh, they got the presidents up there. I think one of them is George Washington, if I'm not mistaken. What are they going to do about Mount Rushmore? See? I think that some of them should be saved, because this is something... I mean, Mount Rushmore, you just can't put in a museum, folks. But like I said earlier in the beginning of the program, last hour, just because you take down these monuments like Robert E. Lee and George Washington and all these guys, you can take them down all you want, but you're not going to change history. This happened. Whether you like it or not, this happened. Okay, these are representation of American history. You can't wipe it out by taking it down. It's that grim reminder. They're just getting offended by it. But if you're going to take everything down, if you're going to destroy everything, then you pretty much wiped out the United States of America, because that's what this country is about. Again, the White House was built by slaves. Okay, what are they going to do about that? Can't go in there and do anything to damage it, because they could. That's serious. It's a serious federal offense, folks. You just can't damage the White House, and it was, again, built by slaves. So what are you going to do? Some things you just have to accept. You just can't change it. It's done. You just can't change it. Go ahead and try, but you're not going to change it. You're just fooling yourselves. So, I mean, just stop it. Grow up. Go back to school. A lot of these kids are college age. Should be getting ready to go back to class. A lot of colleges are already starting classes. So, I mean, time to put the end to this, man. Because, see, start thinking about your classes. Start thinking about school. Okay? Start thinking about school. Because that's starting soon. And you won't have no more time. No more time to go out and damage property. No more time to ruin what we put up. No more time. So just stop. It's crazy. Yes, I feel bad about what happened last Saturday in Charlottesville. That's not far from where the Waltons sat. They always mention Charlottesville and the Waltons. Think about what Grandma and Grandpa Walton would think about this. This outrage. Think about what God thinks of this outrage. This is just hatred, ladies and gentlemen. This is just hatred, just spread about the United States over history. Yes, racism included here. History. And here we got a group, neo-Nazis, and the Triple K, and they're all starting problems, which leads me to what I've been said about an hour ago. George Soros, he can face prison under a U.S. Code Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 115. George Soros. It's the cause of a lot of problems. A leftist communist who hates America so bad that he's trying to tear it down. Here he is, George Soros. His evil plan to destroy America. Mainstream media, don't let him fool you. He's responsible for everything that's going on for the past few days. He's trying to start the next American Revolution. And we have to stop him, folks. We have to stop him before he does any more damage that he's already done. George Soros has been caught in the anti-Trump rallies across America. He has organized those. Liberal activist groups, he's funded them. He's funded Obama. He's given money to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. He's called for sedation, punishment by fine imprisonment of up to 20 years for treason, rebellion, insurrection, seditious conspiracy, advocating and overthrowing government, restrictions of certain organizations, and recruiting for several services against the United States. Enlistment, also, this also in here, enlistment to serve against the United States, for which a man is guilty if he's looking at some serious time now. U.S. Code Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 115. It is clear that Trump calls for the investigation to reveal who this man is behind this. And then prison time is something that could be very real. And they discovered someone living in another country, and when you discover that someone's living in the country and meddling in the affairs and secrecy and destabilization of another country, being the United States, could face criminal charges based on that law. Definition of sedation is to speak or organize for the purpose of insurrection against the established order. Also lists subversion of a constitution, sedation, complements of treason, and then there's the seditious conspiracy, which the Webster defines as crime of saying, writing, or doing something that encourages people to destroy the government. Come on, don't tell me that you don't think George Soros has something to do with it. Yes, he does. George Soros, folks. Listen to Glenn Beck. Listen to another great man of mine I consider a colleague in a family. I'm going to get a chance to get a hold of him. I really want to talk to him. And that is the guy that's on night here. I played on my closed circuit signal. And it's a great program. And that is Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. he said it very well. I don't know about George Norrie, although I'm thinking he has mentioned something about George Soros, but I know that Alex Jones knows for sure that George Soros is behind a lot of what goes on around here. But here you go. Well known for around the world as the criminal activities for destroying more countries than any man ever did. And it's about time someone takes action against this man. Russian President Vladimir Putin officially declared that this billionaire, George Soros, is a wanted man in Russia, citing him for organization as a threat to the Russian national security. President Donald Trump should do the same if he wants this country safe. Vote in the poll below. I already did that. The poll says, do you support Trump if he calls for the arrest of Soros? Get on this site, www.usasupreme.com, where it says Soros can face prison, hyphen in between all that, under U.S. Code Title 18, Part, I think it's Part 1, something like that, Chapter 115, backslash, all dashes in between, and get in on that site. I'll post it on some Facebook pages, so I've already posted it yesterday on my Facebook page, but I will post it on my Twitter and Google Plus, and I'll even try to get it on Pinterest, because this is something that should be, I want people to say yes in that poll. Okay, so you get in there, just to say yes and vote for Donald Trump. And I'm not hearing this in the mainstream media. Why? So you have to wonder, why are we not hearing this in the mainstream media about George Soros? Tell you why. Because he's paid off. He's paid off a few people to shut up. Okay? He's got the networks in the palm of his hands. He's got them tied in. I'm sure he threatened a few if he said anything or reported this in the news. So you kind of imagine that the reason why the network news people aren't watching this carefully or not really reporting it. George Soros in trouble. Kind of wonder. Because here we go. We're going to talk about that throughout the afternoon, so I hope you'll stay with me. This is the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. We're getting close to the break, and after the last break, coming into the last half hour or so, we're going to take a half hour or so. I'm going to be giving you non-stop talk. As a matter of fact, right after we get started into the next break, I'm going to be starting off 45 minutes of non-stop talk, about 45 to plus 50 of non-stop talk here on the Gary Russen program. So we're going to be doing straight talk, non-stop, coming up here on GJRB. So stay tuned. Going to be leaving it. We're just going to go off feed, or rather off our format, and we're going to go non-stop talk coming up after the break here on GJRB Online. So stay with me. The Gary Russen program, Freestyle Friday edition, here on GJRB Online on Spreaker, and I hope you'll stay with me for all the talk here coming up on GJRB Online. And we'll have a lot of good things to talk about. We'll open up the lines for conversation, and we're going to open up our Spreaker public site for conversation. I'm going to spread this program around in the next half all over the social sites. So stay with me for that as we continue the Gary Russen program, Freestyle Friday edition, here on GJRB Online on a beautiful Friday afternoon in our north end side of Clinton. Beautiful Friday afternoon. Can't beat this. Yeah. Let's take a look at our weather on the 5 for this half hour. Take a look at some more national temperatures. 76 degrees right now in Boston, Massachusetts. 93 degrees in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 92 in Galveston, Texas. 89 right now in Miami, Florida. 89. Phoenix, Arizona now up to 104 degrees. Albuquerque, New Mexico is 93. 79 now, dropped a degree in Los Angeles, California. And we'll have your weather on the 5s. Coming up next half hour, we'll take a look at some Boston weather. Coming up around 5 minutes to the hour of 4. And give you the national temperatures across America here on GJRB Online. Gary J. Russen with you. Hope you're enjoying the program. This is the Gary Russen program on a Friday afternoon freestyle edition. Coming up next, 45 to plus 50 minutes of non-stop talk.
You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up-and-coming jazz, smooth jazz, and smooth afternoon.
If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming.
And programming in other great music formats.
Like blues, urban, including rap. Also classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information on that great programming you'll hear, check out their schedule at www.sau.edu/KALA. Even if you don't live in the Quad Cities area, you can enjoy KALA anywhere in the world with their internet stream. Connect with KALA. Listen and enjoy.
Thing with the monument, some of the kids that knocked down that monument in Durham over the past weekend turned themselves in. This story. Steve Bannon worked with Donald Trump, has resigned. Trump, I believe, fired him, but he chose resignation instead. He was working for Trump. And we'll have that story along with late-breaking stories coming up throughout the afternoon here on GJRB Online, keeping you up to date with what's going on in the GJRB newsroom throughout the afternoon. This is the Gary Russen program. GJRB's
baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling. It's covered on Gary J's sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's sports page.
Join me for Sports Page at a brand new time. Alternating Saturdays at noon on GJRB.
The Nation.
And we'll be right back with more of our program coming up soon. Stay with me. The Gary Russen program continues in the next half hour with 45 to 50 minutes of non-stop talk. That's coming up next on the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker, across America and around the world. I hope you're enjoying the program, and we're going to continue with our program in just a moment here on GJRB Online. So stay with me. The Gary Russen program will be right back with more great internet talk on a Friday afternoon, Freestyle Friday on GJRB. We'll be right back.